Good afternoon, everybody. Spring has sprung. Welcome to February's market update. It's myself, Ron Cole, and my colleague Roberto Argenio here in our wonderful Victoria Street offices in the heart of sunny today, St Albans. It's lovely. It's 16 degrees outside. I forgot what the sun looked like. I just thought I swam to work for the last 2 months. Rob, great to catch up with you. There's a fair bit to cover today. First I'd like to talk about is I've absolutely noticed increased valuation numbers over the last 2 weeks, probably leading other side of half term into spring. Have you noticed the same?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the last couple of weeks, have been pretty phenomenal. Some of the numbers that we've recorded in the way of market appraisals to go and attend, which shows us an appetite for people wanting to move in 2026. I think one thing that I have noticed, which you might be able to allude to a little bit more, Ron, is the sensitivity around pricing. There seems to be a lot more sensitivity about that. And I don't know what you've experienced in these last few weeks.
Yeah, it's a good question, Rob. My answer is probably based on what I can see statistically around us from people like Rightmove and the RCS and some other bits. So locally, the apartment market is definitely in the last 8 weeks not come back to life as well as we'd like to think so. It's probably seen a little bit of a backward step, around about 3% in and around the town centre, and then probably just slightly less the apartment market just going towards the actual station. So it's not a huge amount of distance geographically, but streetwise it definitely seems to have had an effect. Although the buying public are buying, but it's very price sensitive there. But what I will say, Rob, on the other point of view, if you get closer, and I've said this 100 times on these updates, you get closer to the right school and the right road, and some of the roads and areas have seen almost a 7 to 10% increase in price this year. So very interesting numbers so far. A little bit of a faltered market around the apartments, but we're still selling them. In fact, I think this week alone we've sold a couple, but price sensitive so far this year. One for yourself here, Rob. I've noticed that we have got some very interesting property coming to market, and the reason I say interesting, we're seeing some larger homes that we haven't seen for a while come to market over the last 6 to 8 weeks. Have you found that there's a bit more of an appetite for premium end homes coming to market at the moment?
I think dependent on where, how much, and the sort of accommodation that's on offer. I think distinctive houses have always been popular. And I think, yes, I think with Valentine's really kind of being as a benchmark for the month having come and gone, I think you're starting to see more of these types of sellers have a bigger appetite to start listing. I think, traditionally it starts to improve. And as you say, we've got a whole day's worth of spring. Hopefully we don't default back to winter tomorrow morning. But for the time being, I think it's quite traditional that sellers will contemplate putting their houses on the market whilst the weather is better. But I think that's typically what happens is these larger, more distinguished homes will start to come to market as the weather starts to improve and we start to embrace spring. And also, schools registrations, depending on whether it's junior or secondary, will have an effect on when these houses come to market, and more importantly, when buyers' appetites start to peak and their interest starts to be shown as buyers. So yeah, I've seen a few more interesting things coming to market, as you say. And Ron, I have a question for you. With regards to, from what I've seen valuation-wise, we've definitely seen an increase in valuations throughout the course of the year. I think that will follow with the level of new clients coming to market. But what have you seen with regards to buyer appetite, buyer numbers, hotspots within the marketplace itself? What are buyers telling us?
Yeah, Rob, I can tell you so far this year, I'm from the coalface back up. Always say that. More buyers, especially first-time purchasers, than this time last year. In fact, over 300 of them, and I think it's been driven by a few things. Absolutely appetite for purchase, maybe slower quarter end last year. Getting better every day, mortgage rates and mortgage lenders deals. And I was talking this morning to Kurt and Richard, who told me that some of the first-time mortgages are getting better and better and better and even more competitive. And some lenders, come back to us for details and I'll send you to the right person. We're even doing things like offering cash back. So they're really trying to tempt first-time purchasers into that marketplace, and it's becoming more competitive. When we're looking at even as far as today, price decreases in things like energy costs coming into the spring months as well, which will all have a knock-on impact on affordability and what the lenders are looking to kick out. But really importantly, and always the most important thing, you can't sell anything if you don't have a buyer, and if you've got more buyers, you're going to get good prices. So the right areas, right buzz parts are absolutely achieving great value in and around the city. Cottages, honestly, give me one, I'll get rid of it today for you. It's just one of those things. Rob, if you were in a property today talking to a family and they're valuing their house and they're saying, young John and Jane are going to have to get on the ladder and probably go off and be first-time purchasers. Rob, is there any way you'd suggest that they have a look out to really get themselves armed with the information that they need?
Oh, absolutely. I think the first port of call with first-time buyers in particular is reach out to a good quality estate agent, quiz them, ask them questions. What's the process like? A good agent will always be very happy to spend some time answering some questions. It's such a big first step, but it should be an exciting first step. Parallel with that is financial advice. You can never get enough of it. We have some fantastic broker opportunities here through our providers, BHM, who offer impartial advice completely free of charge. These are exactly the type of people you want to engage with as first-time buyers, completely impartial, really good routes to market. That way, then you've got a real good gist of what the whole situation entails, what you're expected of as a first-time buyer in relation to what the market's going to be like, and then you're properly armed and well shielded to just take that first step and start looking at some properties. As soon as you see the one you like, you'll know it, and that's the time to put the offer in, knowing full well you've spoken to some professionals about conveyancing, financial services, and the sort of banana skins to avoid.
Yeah, lovely stuff, Rob. And talking about that, you can obviously looking at our vlogs, go to our Collinson Hall website. There's a really, really useful piece of it in there, which we've done very recently, just about getting as much information and advice as we can as early as we possibly can. So in closing today, it's been a pleasure speaking to you as always. I look forward to our next market update, and I look forward to speaking to you then.